Welcome to a live post-game show here on the Basketball Zone YouTube channel. Raptors Nation, 0-1, not the way we wanted to start the season. The offense looked terrible, but I got my boy Robert Misovic to break it all down. Well, whatever is left of breaking this game down. We're going back and forth during the game. We were very disappointed. I was very disappointed on many guys. I know Robert's going to go in on Fred, but let's go in on OG first. Before those two back-to-back threes, he had about 5-6 points. Where was he tonight, Robert? Because you didn't feel him. You felt him defensively. Yes, he's elite on that end. But offensively, my man's disappeared. Talk to me.
He had a rough night. You could tell, like, there's this thing with OG where you can tell when the shot leaves his hand when it's going in. Right. He doesn't aim it. He doesn't think about it. Today he was thinking about it a lot. And he was kind of aiming that ball, and you could just tell he was so frustrated. His body language is pretty neutral, but today you could tell he was slamming the ball. Like, I think this was your quick mud game, you know? Like, I think there's just like a quicksand game. Like, right. I think it's just they felt like they were playing 8-on-5. Like, I don't want to say it's all on the refs, because it wasn't. There's a lot of this is self-induced, but yeah, they couldn't buy a shot. And it wasn't just the shots, right? People can say, well, it's the preseason to the regular season, there's going to be a step up. Well, not at the free throw line. They couldn't make free throws. They couldn't dribble the ball. I think Speed lost the ball at one point. OG lost the ball. Scottie lost the ball. Like, it's like there was just too many nerves in that building. I think there's a lot of pressure. It's like you've been away for 600 plus days. You know what I mean? The gravity of that moment, I was feeling anxious. I haven't felt this anxious before a regular season game in my life, ever. Right. So I think it's a combination of like that pregame hype. You have like all this celebration, and the Washington Wizards just look like, let's shut these guys up, you know? Right. So I think it's an aberration. You can just wipe this away. I consider coming on the show and be like, trade everybody, trade. Yeah. but it's like nobody is this bad. Right.
And before Batten came into the game, the team just looked lost offensively. I have to question some of the things that Nick Nurse did. We saw a lot of Fred VanVleet being the go-to guy in this offense. They kind of pretexted the whole offseason saying that he was their guy, their number one option. And I didn't like the way that looked today. I know he didn't shoot the ball great. He had a few good moments, let's be honest, but most of them were not good. They were forced. A lot of the lack of open shots was because he just doesn't have that explosive first step, I would say. And so it was kind of hard for him to break down the defense at times. And when he got to the rim, he missed a lot of shots. But I just didn't enjoy that. It was tough to watch him.
I mean, honestly, imagine if you were one of those people. You don't even know. You don't want to know how expensive those tickets were to opening night. It was like some people were like, I don't know, rent or Raptors against Wizards, right? And on the other side, you're watching the Washington Wizards. Like, you're not even going to see a prime Laker team or even the Chicago Bulls, something like that you actually want to watch. You're probably watching a lottery team right now. And yeah, it was ugly. I think Fred VanVleet, it's not just a lack of explosiveness. There are a lot of guys out there. Patty Mills is not super explosive, but he still looks better than Fred VanVleet. I think it's a basketball IQ thing. I think it's a selfishness thing, to be honest. And to be honest, like, I think the worst part about this night, apart from the absolutely terrible shooting and the lack of ball movement and the I don't want to say questionable shot selection. It was terrible shot selection from Fred.
From everybody, let's be honest, because Nick Nurse couldn't dial up a very good offense. That free-flowing offense that we've seen in the past, it was a lot of, again, like Fred being your number one option is an issue. He cannot be your number one option, sorry. If he is your second, third, probably third, I'm okay with that, right? But as your number one, OG has to be that guy, Robert. I know we talked about him a lot. We highlighted him a lot in preseason. He looked lost today. He had that one good play in the first quarter where he missed a shot, but he looked real smooth, step back, crisscross under his legs. He looked good doing it. Like, it looked natural doing it. But then after that, he disappeared offensively.
I think he's just this is new for him, right? There's
Right.
going to be some growing pains. There's going to be some awkward drives. There's going to be some weird finishes. He's not, he's not fluid, right? Like a lot of prime scorers are pretty fluid. So even when they miss, it doesn't look quite so stupid. But when he misses, it looks like this guy's never played basketball
Right.
before. So I understand that the eye test says, oh my God, he shot too many shots. But I will say that I was watching OG, Scottie, you know, it's one thing to go 1 for 10. It's another thing to go 2 for 15 and like 8 of those were shots that you shouldn't have taken. Because shots that you're not supposed to take, they throw your defense off balance. They kill all the momentum of the
Momentum.
game, right? So when you take shots early in the shot clock, and it wasn't just Fred VanVleet, it was Gary Trent Jr., it was Chris Boucher, it was Precious Achiuwa as well, right? How many times in that first quarter did Precious Achiuwa just straight up miss a dunk? Scottie Barnes missed 2 dunks, right? I mean, and this was almost a 10-point game at the end. So I think it's hard to take anything away from this game. I'll say this: the rookies looked way more composed,
Yes.
right? That length was annoying, and that's what we were talking about. When we talked about the Raptors, we talked about length. And I'm sorry, but Fred VanVleet and Goran Dragic, that's not a lot of length,
Right.
right? So you got to lean into your strengths. I know
Trent,
that Nurse,
not a lot of length. He looked terrible.
right? Gary Trent looked pretty bad. Svi Mykhailiuk looked
Awful.
exactly like a veteran minimum contract
He
signing.
looked
He
god
looked pretty
awful. Oh my
terrible.
god, he was forcing so many shots. I was like, dude, stop shooting the ball.
Yeah, so it's again, it's like when I think pressure burst pipes, right? That's the old saying, pressure burst pipe. You can watch this team. Like, I think Fred and Pascal have low key thrown a little bit of shade Kyle's way. The last few weeks, they've kind of said like, hey, now that he's out of the way, he's a nice guy and all, we're gonna miss him, but now that he's out of the way, well, you know what? This is the type of performance that just never happened when Kyle Lowry was around, because he
Facts.
was such a steadying force that the minute you had like a couple of these like out of and it's just, look, you know better than probably most that basketball is a game of rhythm, right? You got to find
100%.
rhythm, right?
100%.
So you got OG coming off of pin downs, and he's just catching the ball at the wrong place. He's catching the ball 25, 30 feet away because you have a point guard who can't create
Yeah.
any sort of gravity to get him an open look, right? So now he's catching the ball, and everybody knows, Scottie's not a great shooter, right? Precious is not a great shooter,
He looked
right?
bad
So,
too. God diggity.
right. And it's just like there's not a lot of spacing. So you're asking a guy who's maybe at best a developing ball handler to suddenly now create like against 3-on-1, right? And I think for all, his struggles tonight, OG looked good on defense. He rebounded the hell out of the basketball. He tried. And, I think Scottie Barnes looked really good. I really do. I
He
think he
did.
missed some he missed some chippies close to the bucket. He's not going to miss those, hopefully, a lot. I think it's first game jitters. It's his
Yeah.
first game, right? The energy in that building was intense. I had friends who were there. They were just texting me and they're like, "Oh my God, I can't hear myself think in this building. It's loud," right? And sometimes that helps and sometimes it hurts. It depends on what kind of team you are. And if you're a veteran team, that helps. And if you're a young team, that can be kind of scary actually to play against, to play in that kind of environment is kind of intimidating. And Bradley Beal is probably the one guy on, on the floor where that's not going to shake him. But I think Scottie Barnes looked good. I think Delano Banton looked awesome. It's not
He earned
the
this spot
fluky.
today. Like, he's part of that rotation without question. Like, if anyone had any questions, I hope that today was the day. But yeah, 12 points, 9 rebounds for Scottie Barnes, bro. The kid's legit.
Yeah, I think Delano Banton will probably not be in the rotation. To be honest, like, I mean, he's you saw a lot of good today, but there's a lot of bad as well, right?
For
and
sure.
You're gonna see a lot of bad. You're gonna see defenses leaving him wide open for threes. You're gonna see turnovers. He nearly turned the ball over like a few times. He had some really high moments. What I liked about him, and this is more so like a personality thing, is that he came in and he did not look rattled. Like, he didn't
Right.
look rattled by that moment for 1 second. And if there's anyone who should be rattled by this moment, it's the kid playing in front of his hometown as a rookie, right? He should have been
100%.
the most nervous player in the whole building, and he didn't look nervous at all. So I'll say that he maintained his composure, and that sort of the thing that leaves the really bitter taste in my mouth about this game is that final shot that Fred took.
Come
I'll be
on,
honest,
really?
dude. 16 seconds on the clock, game's over. You dribble that out. You do not take that shot. That's like
He was
that
playing for
game
the
was.
spread, bro.
I don't know who he's betting on or who was betting on him, man, but that was classless, and you could just tell the Washington Wizards did not appreciate that, and almost looked like Kyle Kuzma was going to take that shot last second too. It's just again, there's a sort of steadying force that was there with Kyle, and it just looked like everything was sloppy today. Everything just looked off. You know what I mean? It just looked like everything was a step slow. Everything was a pass late, 2 seconds late. And it's just like, it's hard to play offense like that. I've played on teams like that as a basketball player.
Yep.
It's really hard to find any sort of rhythm. You just can't. So I'm not going to take too much from this game. You know, Raptor fans, hang in there. I'm really rethinking myself putting them at 7th, though, a little bit. But, I mean, it's going to be a tough season. But hopefully with Pascal back and the rookies and Yuta Watanabe and hopefully Chris Boucher gets his rhythm because he hasn't played. You know, he's been out the entire preseason. Hopefully this is an aberration and maybe by midseason they'll calm down. Yeah.
Well, to your point about Banton, honestly, my personal opinion, I rather him playing in Makulia or SVI, whatever you want to call the dude. Like, I understand that he is out there to spread the floor. You don't pay a dude, God knows how much money, in Trent Jr. to be that guy. You play a vet minimum dude. I rather play a rookie who looked composed and brings the aspects, the strengths to this team, like defense, like that length, like the playmaking, rather than a dude who honestly is iffy with his shot in SVI. And that's the direction I would go in. And if this kid can bring in that type of energy off your bench, even if it's for 12 to 16 minutes, look, SVI plays 16 minutes tonight. That is way too many minutes for this dude who has always been on like a end of the bench type guy. I don't know, man.
I mean, he definitely had a worse game. I think the thing that, you know, if I could talk to Nick Nurse, I mean, he's one of my favorite coaches, and if I could talk to him and say, here's one thing you need to consider going forward, I would say Precious and Goran probably need to go to the bench. It's not because they had a bad game.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that. It's just a balance thing in the lineup. I think that second unit, I think Goran could really, really help that second unit. They were atrocious tonight. Nurse has a habit of going with a 2-point guard lineup. I don't know why that's his tendency. It's not this team's strength. I would start Scottie at the 2, OG at the 3, maybe Kem at the 5, and Utah at the 4 if he comes back, or do Pascal Siakam when he comes back. But
for sure.
Yeah, I think Goran Dragic needs to move to the bench. I hope Scottie Barnes does not move to the bench, and
I would be pissed.
It was a lot. It was a lot of things, man. It was a lot of things. There was a play where Scottie Barnes clearly drove to the basket. It was a clear not foul, and he got called for a foul. It was an offensive foul, and they showed the replay, and there's like that OG thing at the end. That was not an offensive foul. That was a natural movement. So it's like you're just shaving 6 points off a team that's already struggling, and I think those things kind of just kill your momentum.
And he had great moments defensively in Scottie Barnes. Who the hell blocks those type of shots on a superstar like Bradley Beal? Those are the intangibles both you and I talked about coming into the pre-draft process, and then recently as well. What could make him a potential game changer? It's you can put him against the other team's best player and have just all complete faith that he's going to get the job done. Whether or not he blocks it, he's going to make it super difficult, because you realized that Bradley Beal started, shooting up a little bit higher, changing just a tad. And again, it's a game of inches, right? Like if you go a little bit to the right, a little bit to the left, a shot's not going to go in. So with that said, Beal had a good game, but I'm just saying, like, those are the little things that can make a huge difference once this team gets it together and, they start winning games again.
I think it's just one of those things where you can look at this game and say, is there a 5-minute stretch that I can take something from and use it for the next game? And I think it is that Banton, Precious, Scottie, OG lineup, maybe with Fred VanVleet or whatever. again, you negate so much of what you're creating with that front court switchability and length by having 2 point guards in the backcourt. You just do, right? So you got to have some sort of size in the backcourt, so that defenses aren't, and we got killed. We got killed by Bradley Beal and Spencer Dinwiddie in the beginning. And it's just, frankly, it's because at this stage in his career, Spencer Dinwiddie's going to have his way with Goran Dragic or, Fred VanVleet. He's just too big. So there's just too much size. And it's kind of ironic that we've been talking about, oh, we're going to be so tall. We're going to be so tall. And it's like their backcourt is literally bigger than yours on opening night.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like by several inches. Like Spencer Dinwiddie's like pretty much a shooting guard. He's like 6'5". So I think it's just it's sort of a missed opportunity. I understand why they did it. Goran Dragic looked fine. Like, he looked like a steadying force. I just think that they need to bring that off the bench. And honestly, if they were a little bit bolder, I'd bring Fred VanVleet off the bench because he just, oh my God.
And start who, though? Because you can't start Trent. I just think Trent is just a minus out there, right?
Did you see how often he gambled? Like, I'm hearing the Raptors commentators. I don't know what feed you were watching,
I did.
But you're just oh my God, his hustle. And I'm like, do you realize, like, you're brainwashing a fan base to like this guy, but he is out of position every freaking time.
100%.
He gambles, and yeah, sometimes it works. Sometimes it works,
sure,
you know. But so often he either made a positive play on the ball, like I think he had 3 steals tonight. I would guarantee you at least 2 of those steals he threw the ball away within 2 seconds. Like,
yeah, he did. He
clockwork,
did.
Right? So he's just out of control. He takes a lot of ill-advised shots. And again, it's like when Banton came in with Barnes, you had 2 guys who were not selfish, right?
Right.
Immediately. And they were kind of reading the floor, and they were taking what the offense, the defense was giving them. And then you got back into the game, and it was an insurmountable. I think at one point it was like 49 to like 70. It was
awful.
It was crazy. 78?
Yeah.
It was nuts. Like, it was a 30-point game, and you almost cut it to 10 with like 5 solid minutes of 2 rookies just not being selfish ball hogs. So I think if there's anything you take away from this game, it's that. It's that, having guys who move the ball, and it's just like you were seeing it,
Mm-hmm.
It's like there was action off the ball. Guys were moving, there's cutting, there's action. Whereas like with Fred, it's just like pound, 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 shoot. Or pound, 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 pass, and then that guy's got like 4 seconds and he shoots. And it's just really bad shot creation. I don't think this is all on Nurse. I think maybe it's just way too much faith in Fred VanVleet to, again, replicate what Kyle Lowry did. And he's not Kyle Lowry. I've been telling people this all off season. You're going to miss this guy a lot.
Well, let's end it on a good note. Nick Nurse. I believe in Nick Nurse. I believe he's going to make the right adjustments to maybe try and get Fred off the ball where I believe he excels at the most. Mm-hmm. Maybe seeing Scottie Barnes in more of a primary playmaking role, right? And then just going from there. No, what happened?
Did you see him walking? He looked like he was about to cry.
Who did?
Scottie Barnes.
Wow.
Like he looked so like just upset, deflated just by this. I mean, he cares. He cares. If there's a positive note here, Raptor fans, your rookies showed up, right?
100%.
The 2 kids that, they were like parading around as like the future, this long backcourt you're thinking about. These guys showed up, and they showed up in a way that I haven't seen a lot of rookies show up, in my life. Like, just composure wise. I'm not talking like explosive, offensive, whatever, but just in terms of composure, effort. They showed up. Hopefully their veteran teammates can follow the lead. Yeah.
Well, let's end it on that note. Thank you guys so much. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe for more Raptors coverage here on the Basketball Zone YouTube channel. You guys can also catch us on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you catch your iTunes or your podcast, your audio podcast. Thank you so much, Robert. When's the next game? Is it Friday?
Friday.
Okay.
Yeah, we got a tough schedule coming up. Friday and Saturday are tough games.
We'll be back. We'll be back. Hopefully we can potentially break some film.
Can we play a drinking game with this? Like at some point, like if we just keep the shooting thing, like I'll just pass out drunk like after a 5-game losing streak. Well, let's just hope we don't get there.
Let's go live during the game and let's.
Oh my God! If you had seen my live commentary during the game, it was just literally like expletive, Fred VanVleet, expletive Gary Trent. It was bad.
We'll put an expletive badge on the live stream. But yeah, guys, thank you guys so much. And on behalf of the entire Basketball Zone community, we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.